TLDR, the Sentinel team at Conservation X Labs has kind of been knuckling down, putting their heads to the table for the last 2 years or so, trying to make these cameras, smart cameras and smart AI plug-in adapters to commercial cameras work. And we are now hitting a tipping point where we are starting to see things work. I'm going to get into the real meat, so to speak, of the applications that we've been involved in and what we're excited about. So I'll go over the overview of what this technology is, what we were trying to do, but this is just one of those photos of one of the field tests that we did last year in Costa Rica. So just to run through, this probably isn't the right order to do things, but we're involved in a lot of outdoor security, looking at anti-poaching behavior, helping out with professional ecological surveying, and another piece is looking at very precise animal monitoring. So looking at zoonotic diseases for wildlife, looking at lameness in cattle, recreation, pet health, that sort of thing is almost like a long-term view of what we can see this technology being applied to, but we're really focused on the wildlife organizations and the impact areas first. So diving in, the technology itself, we have an AI plugin that you can see in the middle. This plugs straight in through the SD card slot to commercial cameras. It's pretty universal based on which cameras you like to work with most. And then since we've had a few conversations with folks on this call, Carly, I know we've had a lot of chats about working on a bioacoustics, which is on our radar, but we're focusing on nailing down the images and videos first. And then the stuff that you see on the left is our all-in-one, like out of the box smart camera that has basically, they work the same, and they're able to run these AI models locally, take photos, take videos, and then process the models over them as they're captured and send back that information. So we do that by taking the photos, taking the videos, and when we see something that is of interest, of use to you, we'll send that information back over Wi-Fi, cellular, or satellite networks, and we're also exploring with LoRa. That latter one, satellite, has really opened the doorway for us to work in some of the most remote locations, which has really kind of pushed us forward in a lot of rainforest locations. We're looking to work with national parks that have had trouble with cell network coverage. So this is really like where the majority of our first deployments are coming into play, is being able to work with satellite, and we're partnered with Swarm to make that happen. And so sending that data back to you, we've built out a suite of software tools. We've launched recently an online dashboard that lets you see the visuals of the data, see the insights that are coming in. It's also a place to manage all your devices and models from a click of a button. So from this one space, you'll be able to put new models and remove old ones, and those should update over the year without having to have something or the device sitting on your desk with you. And then we can just kind of update when you want to wake those devices up, which models you want to be using, and have access to new models and train custom ones as well, all in one space. So that's really where the software end of things comes into play. We're also developing right now an offline desktop app. So if you don't want to get your hands on a device, if you don't really want to be deploying right then and you don't trust the AI models, you can take the SD cards that you've been using to collect data already on your trail cameras or whatever surveys you've been running, and process the exact same models that run on these edge AI devices. Go back a couple slides. These are the same ones that will run on your laptops, so you can kind of test it out for yourself to run on legacy data, so to speak. Okay, so on to the fun stuff. We see models as almost answers to particular questions. So we've got folks who are coming in saying, I want to look at, I just got an email this morning looking at wild boars for African swine fever. We've been looking at behavior of gorillas in the Congo. We've been doing a ton of these different essentially, whenever someone has an end goal, has that question in mind, this is the kind of thing that we want to work towards, provide that model as a solution, as an answer to their custom deployment. So the kinds of work we've been doing, and this is almost in chronological order based on how early our prototyping has been. We started one of our first field tests in Virginia in the USA with the Nature Conservancy to spot oyster catchers and other seabirds. This was one of our first prototypes, but showed that our models had legs. It showed us that the prototype as well had a very good tendency to keep water in the devices, but not keep it out. So when the sea levels rose and flooded the devices, we ate up half the ocean just when we opened up the devices as well. So that was good to learn from and go back to the drawing board on the hardware front. But basically taking it from there, we've also been building up the devices. Just now, we've launched a deployment with Island Conservation and a few other partners in Hawaii, and actually got our first insight just yesterday morning from there. So that was a big win for the team, looking at invasive species that are popping up on that space. As I mentioned, we've done a little bit of work with OSA Conservation based in Costa Rica. We're actually going to be going back out there in June to fulfill what we started, but we were out there May last year with the kind of most recent up-to-date prototype version of the hardware to put these out into the rainforest, really test out the cell coverage. Spoiler alert, the cell coverage was terrible, and we had to resort to soldering satellite units into our hardware in the middle of the rainforest, so making sure that we weren't causing any fires either. But those are now up and ready to go with like a version 1 stable hardware. So that's why we're excited to get out there with a lot more of the devices that we originally promised to that team. So the work we're doing out there is spotting endangered jaguars, giving the team a better idea of where they are, where they're moving and their population counts, but also checking out things like white-lipped peccaries, which are their main source of prey, and tapirs, which is just another species that they're very interested in. We're using the mega detector model to be able to spot any signs of poaching activity. So they're kind of interested to see almost a rapid response solution to this, where we can see signs of folks who might not be the rangers in the area and give the OSA conservation team time to actually act on that kind of behavior. I have a couple of things. We've also been working on video. So you saw little snippets right in the beginning with gorilla behavior in the Congo. So this is in partnership that our AI researcher, our lead AI researcher, Dante, I think is on the call, has been heading up. And one of the other interesting ones is spotting neurological diseases in Florida panthers. So this is in partnership with the Florida Wildlife Commission. And we're starting to see this disease spread into other big cats like bobcats across the US. So we're trying to generalize this model and start to understand how these zoonotic diseases are spreading, not just in domestic animals, but in wildlife, and be able to run these ecological surveys very precisely. That is all the stuff I want to share, but there's one more piece that Dante has been heading up very recently before we just chat. Let me make sure I've got the video up. I'm not going to give it away because I want to say it, but I don't want to give it away. We've recently gone into individual re-identification. So the same partnership with the folks in the Congo, we have started to generalize this model, but start with gorillas, where we are identifying not just through facial recognition, but through full body recognition, individuals, and we're hoping to expand this into anomaly detection. So if a new gorilla comes in that we don't know, we'll say we don't know and provide a name to them so that they can be re-identified in the future. But this model right now is being generalized as we speak so that we can do things like individual identification of elephants in forests, and then just work with basically the use cases of this could be potentially endless. So yeah, TLDR, we take on a huge variety of projects. If there is a question that you are interested in, if it's related to ecological surveying, animal monitoring, animal health, and outdoor security, then that's the kind of thing that's right up our alley and is what we want to keep working on. So happy to provide that update, and we're excited to be doing more of these kind of deployments very, very soon.
That was a great presentation. Thanks, Henrik. Carly, do you want to ask your question?
Well, I have so many questions.
Oh,
yeah.
Have the floor.
No, that's a dangerous statement you're making.
Okay,
there.
one question.
Are you, with the individual identification stuff, have you reached out to like the WildBee or WildBook folks at all, working with them?
We've been working pretty closely with them. We started working on this stuff just a couple of months ago. So based on just urgent need from the partnerships who are wanting to explore that area. So we've been learning from the WildBee team a lot when it comes to this space of individual re-ID. So yeah, we are, have in a lot of conversations with them. They've been close partners for a while. But yeah, we're excited to see where that goes.
Lars, did you want to ask your question? No? Shall I ask it? Well, Henrik, what's your business model?
It's a good question. We sell the devices up front. We have satellite and cellular units, and so they come at their retail price tag. We have a subscription model month to month or annually based on whether you work with cell or satellite units, just because we want to keep that communications pipeline alive for you. And then finally, if there is a custom model that you want trained that involves what is the retail price, and I can give a full lowdown. There's a custom AI piece as well if there's something that you want done trained to your needs. We are also trying to work on building out a model marketplace. So we're trying to lower the barrier for folks who want to get involved with having a custom AI model or just being able to use one that's off the shelf. So that's behind the scenes right now, but there's like an MVP, I would say, a minimum viable product version of the model marketplace that's a part of that user dashboard. So we will be putting up generalized models, things that we train on our own whim, we'll be putting on that model marketplace. So anyone who does sign up to that dashboard is able to download one of those and then see what it's like to run when the desktop application is ready to go. So there's going to be a ton of different opportunities to try out the tech without putting down a credit card or anything like that. We want to make sure that people trust what we're doing and we know that it's new technology. So we want to build that trust from the get-go.
Carly, do you want to ask your next question? I will wrap in a second. A couple more questions.
Oh yeah, you said retail price tag, and I was like,
yeah,
what
sorry.
is it?
So cell devices right now are $350 a piece, and then satellite are $400. The monthly subscription for cell is $20 per device per month, and satellite is $35. Those are high price tags right now based on, it's a small team and we're manufacturing in small batch. So we're anticipating that to drop as we grow and as we scale up. But that's what we're working with right now. We're breaking even on the devices, and really it's the models and the subscriptions that are keeping us afloat to verify that business model right now.
How do you buy? Is it just by getting it? Do you have a storefront?
Right now, not yet. So you just email us and we'll have that conversation. So it's a very case by case at this point.
Yeah.
But by the end of the year, I'm really hoping to have almost more of an automated pipeline for folks who want to get stuff, and we can more easily just ship it to them. Have really robust documentation, video tutorials on setting up. That's all going to be made by the end of the year.
Cool. The other thing, what's the update on the Edge Impulse, the full packaged camera trap?
Yeah, so we're working with the manufacturing partners out in Slovenia, a company called Ernest. So it looks very different to what you saw in the photo. The footprint is a lot smaller. Oh, I can't give away those details just yet. I actually got an update for the official CAD rendering last Thursday from them. It's a very small device. It's about this size. And we're actually looking to continue to work with them on the AI adapter piece, just to make it look exactly the same. So we have the plugin and the full camera versions.
Cool. Okay. At this point, I'm going to wrap. I have a couple more questions that we'll ask afterwards.
Sure.
But for now, thank you all of our speakers and for everyone who joined us today. And we'll see you next month. Bye, everyone on YouTube, and everyone else, you can stay if you want. All right, bye, everyone.